Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It is 6:07 here on this Boxing Day, day after Christmas, and we're live right here with you where you need us on O'Connor and Company. Coming up at 7:05, Daniel Turner, Power the Future, talk about energy policies going into 2026. And then at 7:35, we'll speak with Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer. We'll talk a little bit about what happened in Nigeria overnight and what we're learning. And at 8:05, Grover Norquist, President of Americans for Tax Reform. It is Larry O'Connor here and Patrice Onwuka there. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday and happy Boxing Day, too.
Yes. And, this time of year we like to as much as possible, focus on the most wonderful positive aspects of our nation, our culture, humanity in general. We want to think positively. And the Wall Street Journal has helped us out in that regard because yesterday they featured, or maybe it was Christmas Eve, they featured a story that really deserves some attention because we hear a lot about, how evil capitalism is, how evil free markets are, how companies just exploit people and exploit their employees. And, we hear terms like individual Americans, human beings, are referred to as workers. They always say that. And conservatives do it, too. They slip into this language.
That's true.
We do it. I do it. It's part of the vernacular. Oh, yeah, what are workers doing? I'm not a worker. I'm a human. Think about the fact that major corporations have departments called human resources. We're not resources. We're not like, office supplies.
Well, our time, though, is the resource, and what we do with our hands and our mind are the resources.
There was a time when we all thought of ourselves as humans, Americans, citizens, husbands, fathers, and our jobs were a means to an end. Our job was a way that we would make money so that we could build a family, build a home, build a legacy. But we didn't identify ourselves with our jobs, with our professions.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That is true.
It's like, who is Larry O'Connor? Well,
he's son of, grandson of,
right.
Father
of
the
this,
clan,
husband of that, right?
Yes.
What you do is what you do. It's not who you are. Does that make sense?
It does.
Anyway, that being said, it's just, sadly we've sort of reoriented our culture to be so focused on business and work and profession and career and identity. And oftentimes we human resources, we people, we get treated like that and we sort of get cast aside. We are used for whatever we can provide to the company. That's how we are valued. That's what our worth is. And when we're done, we're done. Okay, I set that up enough, I think, to now tell this amazing story. Family-owned business out of Minden, Louisiana, called Fiber Bond. Now, this was founded in 1982 by Graham Walker's father. Graham Walker is now the latest CEO, but his father started it, and they built concrete structures and enclosures for telecom and power equipment. Very specialized business, right? They've been through a lot of turmoil. In 1998, they had a factory fire, nearly destroyed the business. The dot-com bust in the early 2000s led to huge debt, huge layoffs. But they continued paying their employees through the tough times. They tried to foster deep loyalty with the family of employees that they had put together there. And in the mid-2000s, when Mr. Walker, Graham Walker, and his brother took over the business, they pivoted. They invested about $150 million, which was not easy for them to get those investments and get the banks to loan them the money. But they expanded their business into data center infrastructure. They had a vision.
Very smart.
They had a very good vision. And by, the last couple of years, there's been an explosion in data centers. Their sales boosted about 400% in 5 years during the COVID era. And early this year, Mr. Walker sold Fiber Bond to Eaton. Eaton is a Irish-based business, I believe. And they work with, they build this kind of thing, power management company. They purchased Fiber Bond for $1.7 billion. Now, Usually that's the rags to riches, big free market capitalist success story, right? And there you go. And that would be enough to say, oh, what a great job. But there's just one little thing. Mr. Walker and his brother, they sold to Eton, but they made a provision in the deal, and it was non-negotiable. 15% of the proceeds of the sale had to go into a bonus pool that went direct to the employees and was divided by the employees. 15% of the proceeds. And if you're doing the math in your head, that works out to $240 million when the final deal was done.
To go into the employees.
That got split between a little over 500 employees. And this Christmas, they were all surprised with that check. Each employee got $443,000.
My goodness. Almost $500,000.
Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing, but it's a reminder. I think it sets the bar for how executives and CEOs who are going into corporate sales should really be thinking about who's going to split up the proceeds.
Right.
I mean, very often they're thinking about their golden parachute, and the other executives in the C-suite. But what about the people who've toiled decades for your company through thick and thin? I mean, listening to some of the reading, the impact it's going to have. Leslie Key, she'd been with the company for 29 years. She said she opened the envelope and broke down crying when she saw the amount of money that she was going to be receiving. I mean, that's life-changing.
Yeah.
It is. I see pictures of people here. She started making $5.35 when she was 21 years old. And now this is really just going to set her on a path to, total financial freedom.
Oh, most Americans could pay off their mortgage with that amount, especially in Louisiana, and
exactly.
And you can pay off your mortgage and still have money to spare after that. It really is life altering. And I love the fact that they just handed out envelopes and said, "Oh, by the way, here you go.
Here's your Christmas bill." And you're thinking, "Oh, maybe I get $1,000. That'll be nice."
Right.
What would be your reaction, Larry, if Bill walked into the room and just said, "Here is an envelope, Larry. Merry Christmas. You guys have been great, Cumulus. We want to give you something special.
I mean,
a little bonus."
As much as I love Bill Hess, and I do like a brother, I'm sorry, I have a deep moral and ethical fiber in my body, and I would have to call the authorities and have him arrested because Lord knows Cumulus does not have that kind of money. So he stole it from somewhere. I'm sorry. And I would have to turn him in, or I'd finding out how much he stole, I might help him with a getaway car perhaps or something like that. But
oh, Bill, hopefully you're not listening. Well, I would hug Bill, thank him so much. Maybe send Mary, the CEO, a nice little tweet, and start planning how to use that money.
That's all easy
for investments.
It's all easy for you to say, Patrice, because it will never happen.
Well, can't we dream? I mean, can't we dream, though, right? Can't we dream?
We should have got – and by the way, it should be noted that all of these employees, these 400-some-odd employees who got these, $440,000 bonuses now, none of them were this was a privately held – this was not a public company. None of them were stockholders. None of them had
that's right,
early
exactly.
warrants. They were just loyal employees. The business was loyal to them. And they got their windfall. They got their windfall for just being
beautiful.
One string attached, though, by the way. I don't know if you saw this in the article in the Wall Street Journal.
It's not a bad string.
It's paid out over 5 years.
Yeah, so you have to stay.
You have to stay with the company. It's one way to keep you.
So you can't call in on Monday morning.
It's a good way to keep you, I guess. Yes, stay with us, and you'll get $500,000 over 4 years. It's 6:15 WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes. First on the fives. What kind of bonuses are they giving in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center, Jamie Whitten?
Oh, boy, I'm going to get some of Patrice's homemade drink.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting.
Yeah. Just take the pain away, yes.
By the way, I did make kombucha for a while, and it sounds a little bit like that.
It does. It sounds like kombucha
really?
It sounds like kombucha gone wrong. Is what it is.
Exactly.
Or maybe right.
Man.
All right. Well, we go from one business who is doing a great job taking care of their employees to another business that's under fire right now, CBS News. Now, we told you last week about the 60 Minutes story that had been polled by a new editor-in-chief, Barry Weiss. Now, this was a story about the jail down in El Salvador, the what's it called, CCOT, I think it is. Yeah, the CCOT jail, where 60 Minutes went and did this whole expose about the abuses and the horrible treatment of all of these people. By the way, none of them are American citizens. All of them were in our country illegally. You know, they'll talk about, one of them was a hairdresser. One of them was a soccer player. Okay, they were in our country illegally. And they were entangled with or actual members of the Tren de Aragua gang from Venezuela, or they're members of the MS-13 gang from El Salvador, all right? And none of them had a right to be in America, and all of them were deported. And because Venezuela didn't want to take them, they were sent to El Salvador, all right? The most famous resident of this CCOT prison facility, of course, is Maryland man Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who's now back here in America because the left requires that they're there. Anyway, Barry Weiss put a pause on the story, would not let it run this last Sunday, because she said there were some journalistic challenges and issues with this story. And then they needed to be. So it became this huge, the reporter, the same reporter who, did that story about censorship in Germany and praised the German government. She also confronted Ron DeSantis, as we mentioned, with a completely fake story about Publix and vaccinations for COVID. That reporter went public, said that it was Barry Weiss was a shill for the Trump administration, that this whole thing was censorship and a violation of free speech. Well, that was all the, ballyhooed headline part of this story. Now, very quietly, on Christmas Eve, Axios came out with a story that shed some new light about what Barry Weiss's challenges to the story were. Listen to this. One of the main reasons Weiss cited for pulling this segment was that the 60 Minutes team didn't include any of the 3 on-the-record statements from the White House, State Department, and DHS that were provided to CBS News. So
that is asinine. So they made it seem as though they never got a response from the administration whatsoever. They got 3 responses, but decided not to air them.
If you watch the entire segment, and there is a version of the segment that aired in Canada, I guess, online, and so it is out there. They do this whole segment, and it's all, hand-wringing and screaming and crying about how Trump and the American government are acting like the Gestapo and these concentration camps. And by the way, nowhere do they talk about the actual crimes that these people committed. Nowhere do they talk about how the murder rate in El Salvador has completely reversed since the new Salvadoran president has instituted this prison and these things. Anyway, you go through the entire segment that they created, and at the very end it says, the Department of Homeland Security declined our request for an interview. Okay, so declined our request for an interview sounds like no comment. They don't want to talk to them. They didn't want to say anything. No, all they said was, no, we're not going to sit with you for a pre-taped interview that you will edit and make us look bad. But here's our statement. Here's our position. They got a statement from DHS. They got a statement from the State Department. They got a statement from the White House, and they ignored those statements and didn't include it in their piece. That's literally journalism 101.
Well, what they did is malpractice. That is journalistic malpractice. You were in essence, you were creating a story and omitting important information and important players because they wouldn't feed the narrative that you're trying to create with your story. To me, you're creating propaganda. You're not creating news.
According to a source familiar with the 60 Minutes team's correspondence with the administration, journalists reached out to press officials at the White House, State Department, and DHS, all of which provided comment to CBS News ahead of the piece's anticipated run date. None of the comments, which varied in length and substance, were included in the piece. I mean, that's just deceitful. How are people not fired for this kind of thing? Our friend Mary Catherine Ham saw that Axios story and commented on it. I'll read her comment. She said, "You don't need a degree in journalism to do journalism, but it's worth noting that doing this would violate literally the first rule you learn in the first class you would take." And I assume many 60 Minutes folks took those classes. Just the most basic stuff, and it is. And so they're screaming and crying and acting like, that it's Barry Weiss being a crazy right-wing conservative, which she's not. And she's actually trying to hold 60 Minutes up to a basic journalistic standard. Yeah.
It's sickening, but it's not surprising. And no wonder this journalist, I'll put that in quotation marks, came out so strong against so quickly, because she wanted to own the narrative before the actual details of the administration's response comes out. So now everyone in their mind is thinking, oh, this is about censorship, when in fact it's about her shoddy journalism, putting journalism in quotations.
Yeah, well, there's your update on that story. And as usual, the first headlines you see, especially when it comes to the Trump administration and the media.
It's usually the worst ones.
Yeah, exactly. 623.
All right. Well, we know President Trump's end-of-year message was wiping out ISIS in Nigeria. But boy, Secretary of State Rubio has an epic end-of-year message. We'll share that with you and more. Plus, let's contrast that against what the liberals are saying on Christmas. All right, it's unbelievable, but stay with us. It's O'Connor and Company at 6:30.
It is 6:36. It's O'Connor and Company on this day after Christmas. We're having a good time. And if you're not going to work today, I know you're not going to school today, just keep it here, because we've got a good, entertaining morning as you're waiting for everyone else to wake up off their eggnog high from last night. You can get informed and be entertained a little bit. We'll give you an update on what's going on in our government and around the world. Coming up at 7:05, Daniel Turner of Power of the Future will join us. 7:35, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer will give us his opinion of the strikes against ISIS in Nigeria. And 8:05, Grover Norquist, Americans for Tax Reform, on the tax cuts that you should expect next year and beyond. That's all coming up. It's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning. Happy Boxing Day. And, of course, happy Friday.
Are you sure it's not Boxing Yay?
Boxing Day Friday.
All right. I can't keep track. One other thing happens now around Christmas time and at the end of the year, where people sort of look back and take assessment of what 2025 was like, and as well as look forward to 2026. And certainly members of the administration are doing just that. The White House is putting out a lot of year-end information. We're going to share some with you coming up in a bit, including astounding numbers on violent crime in America and the murder rate. We'll get to that coming up in a second. But first, Secretary of State Marco Rubio put together a 2-minute video address to sort of assess what he's been up to at the State Department this first year of the Trump administration, and I want to share it with you. Take a listen.
Hi, it's Marco Rubio. I'm the National Security Advisor and the Secretary of State and the Archivist right now, the acting archivist for the 47th President of the United States, the best president we've ever had, and it's an honor to be able to do this job. We have a lot of achievements this year.
It is kind of fun to hear.
How many hats? He's like, and on this, and on this, and on this. He has got to be an immigrant from the Caribbean. That's how we are.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, do you remember the old In Living Color sketch?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
When I was your age, I had 8 jobs already, you lazy lima bean. Why aren't you working?
Yep, the Wayans brothers.
I think he's from a little... Well, I guess Cuba is a Caribbean island, so there you go.
Yes, it is.
Although he was born here in America. Let's not start the whole, he's not eligible to be president thing.
His roots. We'll say his roots.
But that is, he had a bit of a smile on his face when he listed his jobs there. There was a time, he had a 4th job at one point, but he's now relinquished that one.
USAID?
The fact that he's the archivist. That's just hilarious. All right, let's let the Secretary of State and National Security Advisor and Archivist continue here.
Let's start with the peace deals. One peace deal after another. India, Pakistan were ready to go to war, a very dangerous war. The president stopped it. Cambodia and Thailand, we got that peace deal put in place. Azerbaijan and Armenia, a war that could have started that would have been terrible. We put that into place. And, of course, Gaza, that long war, nobody saw an end to it. The president got involved, brought it to an end, and with a plan for long-term stability and security.
By the way, on the video, he's got footage here, B-roll footage of all of these peace deals, all the handshakes, all the signing ceremonies. You lose sight of all the things that they did internationally this year.
And just in case some liberal tries to fact-check him, those are the actual videos that your news outlets never even covered at the time.
Oh, they've already tried. On some of the, he said ended 8 wars, and some of them say, well, technically some of them didn't really begin. Or, well, yes, the fighting has ended, but there's not a final resolution to the conflict. It's like...
I'm sure the people who were dying in the crossfire are more than happy for what the President Trump did to end the conflict.
Oh, no, you'd be wrong about that. No, yeah. Okay, a little bit more here.
Beyond that, we went to Europe this year, and the president got NATO to do something no president has ever been able to get NATO to do, and that is increase their defense spending to 5%. Just a few years ago, they were at 1%, 2%. 5% for all these countries, an incredible achievement by President Trump and his team here.
That is so underreported. You know, they were saying that he couldn't get them to raise their spending to 2%, which, by the way, is the obligation that they all promised when NATO was formed.
Yes.
And they have, skirted that responsibility for decades now. Last term, Trump said, maybe they should be paying their share. They promised to do 2%, do 2%. And now this first year of his administration, 5%. He's actually now increased it to 5%.
More than double. It's really amazing.
Will they actually meet it, though? You need to keep the pressure on. But, we were told that he would weaken NATO. You cannot tell me that NATO is weaker today as a result of this. It's objectively a stronger organization now because the countries have some stake in the game.
That's right.
They have a vested interest.
Beyond that, I'm very proud of the reforms under the president's leadership that we've done at the State Department. We got rid of USAID. We brought all that foreign aid under the State Department so that now when we give money to countries, we know where the money's going and we know we're helping our allies and our friends and not just enriching some, third-party group that's making a bunch of money from your taxpayer dollars.
That's right. NGOs were getting rich off of USAID.
Oh,
And I'll add to this from Secretary Rubio. I mean, he, edited his comments down to fit into a 2-minute video, but there's another aspect of ending U.S. aid, bringing it under all those grants and the money under the umbrella of the State Department. Accountability. Somebody's, the buck stops somewhere. No one can tell you. I know who ran USAID under Joe Biden, but most people don't know. Most people don't even know the kind of money that was spent by USAID. And everyone pointed fingers. Everyone shrugged. Oh, I didn't know that was going on. I didn't know that was going on. Congress wasn't doing their duty. Now it's under the State Department. You know who the Secretary of State is. The Secretary of State regularly has to submit to Congress, to the House, and to the Senate. And if the Secretary of State is wasting your money on fraud and NGOs and garbage
radical
that you didn't vote for,
agenda items,
then the buck's going to stop with the president. So this is that's a huge part of reforming this international aid.
Well, and that's why the left hates the reforms, because these aid grants were slush funds for leftist propaganda and agenda items and organizations, and so they can filter in and out of Congress and in and out of these organizations, pulling down big paychecks whenever they wanted because they knew how to milk the system.
Yep.
The milk shop is shut now.
You're right.
We also help secure the border. That's been a responsibility of the Homeland Security Department, but we had a role to play, not just in the deals we made with other countries to send people back. We've got more countries than ever accepting their people that are in this country illegally from their countries. They're taking them back. They're also helping us stop them from coming here in the first place. This is a great achievement. So on issue after issue, the president has kept his promise to the American people. He's keeping us safe by taking the war to the drug cartels. The drug cartels that are poisoning and killing our people. President Trump, he promised to do it, and he's stopping them. He's doing it. He's keeping his promise to you. 2026 is going to bring more challenges, but we have a great president and a great team that he's built, and we can't wait to see the exciting achievements of the year to come. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year to everybody. The best is yet to come.
Heck of a summary there.
Yeah.
Well done there. Secretary of State, it really has been one of the biggest surprises of this cabinet. No offense to Secretary Rubio, but let's face it, this is not the same guy that we've seen the last several years in the Senate. He's really coming into his own, and
yes,
best is yet to come.
All I thought of is all the hats that he's worn. He demonstrates just how how versatile he is. You can drop him into any role, and he's gaining so much experience that's going to make him a massive contender for a presidential to become president one day. And he's young enough that he can hang out there for however long it takes.
Well, our last president was there into his, I think, 110. Wasn't Biden 110? It's six.
He surely acted like it.
But it was an old 110. 644. One other data point, as I just mentioned, looking back at 2025, which we'll be doing plenty of, by the way, over the course of the next week as we ride toward New Year's Yay. Sorry, I just had to say it.
There's no New Year's Yay, Larry. Don't worry.
It was announced on Christmas Eve. Again, Axios has an article about violent crime in America, and the numbers are absolutely astounding. The one that pops out the most is murder. Murder's kind of a big deal. I mean, when you talk about violent crime, probably the most serious, I would say, would be murder.
It is.
The murder rate in 2025 at this point is at has dropped nearly 20% from last year, down 19.8%. That would be the largest one-year decline on record, like since they've been recording murder rates in America nationwide. This according to the Real-Time Crime Index data from 570 agencies. These are the numbers through October. A 20% drop in the murder rate is absolutely incredible. Yes.
It's wonderful because it demonstrates that, we just needed a new president. And I think you could say that for every bit of good news. We just needed a new president, not a new law. Maybe the enforcement of the law is on the books. And obviously, this has to be partly because of the National Guard presence that the administration has brought in to cities like Washington, here in Washington, D.C., and then also I think it's just holding these prosecutors accountable and, ensuring that the police, when they lock bad guys up, that the prosecutors keep them behind bars, and hopefully the judges do that too. I've got to believe that it's just basic common sense when it comes to policing.
I think it is a combination of those things. Yeah, obviously the National Guard has not been in every major city, but in those cities that they've been there have been a dramatic decline. Memphis famously just had the same situation, as well as D.C. I think it's also sort of a tone shift. I think that when you see an election go the way that it did last year, and crime was a major part of the election, the border was a major part of the election, immigration, various issues were major parts of the discussion going into the election, that even if you're a J.B. Pritzker in Illinois or a Kathy Hochul in New York, even if you don't agree with or subscribe to the president's policies, you're a politician and you can tell which way the wind is blowing, and you know that if you want to continue in your role as governor of those states, or in J.B. Pritzker's case, advance to the next step and try to be president of the United States, you better do something about crime or you're going to get destroyed in the election. So even the president's ideological and political opponents recognize that they've got it. Gavin Newsom, same thing. In fact, L.A. seeing a bit of a decline too. Also, I don't think you can overstate the importance of shutting down the border and beginning the deportation process. Listen, if you're a criminal who is in this country illegally, you know right now that if you break the law and you are caught, you will be deported and you will be treated harshly. And you cannot tell me that that has an effect on people's thought process. Criminals are not stupid, and they know that there is a new policy here, especially so if you just reduce drastically the presence of illegal immigrants in the country, the ability for illegal immigrants to continue coming into the country, and you reduce their inclination to break the law because of the repercussions, that right there could account for the 20% drop all by itself.
And, when you look at the different categories here, motor vehicle theft, robbery, burglary, these are double-digit declines.
Slow down. Give us the numbers on car theft.
Motor vehicle theft down 23.2%. Robberies down 18.3%. Burglaries down 14.8%. Property crime down 12.3%. Violent crime down 10.2%. This also speaks to quality of life, Larry. Yeah. I mean, there's something about living in a neighborhood when you can feel safe to park your car and know that it's not going to be broken into or the tires ripped off of it in the 30 minutes that you've been gone, or it disappears entirely. Yeah. So I think it boosts quality of life for a lot of people who live in neighborhoods that they can't afford to move out of, but they certainly still expect the same level of protection and safety and less crime than other neighborhoods.
That's right. And some of my friends on the conservative side of the aisle was like, well, why is the president doing all of this in these blue cities, in these blue states? Why not focus on something? No, you know what? They're Americans too. And just because they have failed leadership doesn't mean we should step back and see them getting murdered. I think this is great. And it shows people who live in cities like that there is another way.
What's possible.
That's right. Good job. 6:53. Coming up, we're going to talk to Daniel Turner, Power of the Future, talk about the president's accomplishments with regard to energy this year and what he's looking at going forward. Plus, the president took some phone calls from kids. Hilarity ensued, and you'll hear it next.